there's not many organizations that are on the same page as their players, and this is one of the organizations that are, and it's very, very cool to see where the front office puts in so much hard work to put the highest caliber of talent on the field, and obviously after that the players have to perform. The past 2 seasons obviously hasn't ended up how now I can say we wanted to, but hopefully third time's a charm, and I know we have a great, great team out there.
He struck him out.
99 up top, strikes him out.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us for our last regular season episode of The Dish. I'm joined here by Joe Kelly. I'm Rowan Kavner. Joe, thanks so much for joining us on the last one of the regular season here. It's obviously been a fun year, especially a second half for you and getting to know a lot of your teammates this year, which you've already obviously done. I'm kind of curious, the bullpen's always such a tight-knit group over there. How quickly does that kind of happen? Does that kind of mesh with those personalities?
I guess it just depends. We get thrown down there, outside of the left field wall, all bundled up in a little cave, I like to call it. So there's only really one thing to do, which is to talk to each other and kind of get used to each other. So it's awesome. We are, I would say, I'm not gonna say a team. I guess we're a unit inside of a team, just because we spend the most time together, obviously. But there's a lot of different personalities, a couple different languages. Every single day, I would say, is definitely different, So it's just a great time down there, and I think it's one of the best things to do. Obviously, myself, I try to keep it as light as I can before we go in to the game and really focus.
How's your Spanish?
It's pretty solid. It's not bad. Yeah, I understand. So,
Right.
Japanese is what I'm working on for Kenta.
Nice.
So it's trying to make Bill, who is his translator. I call him Bill. His name's Will, but I call him Bill. Try to learn words so he doesn't have to always translate.
Nice. Obviously, you come back here, October being the goal, and you knew that was going to be a possibility. Do you feel like you learned anything from last year, whether it's kind of how to prepare your body or just mentality-wise, just going through, as far as you guys went into to win it last year? Do you learn anything from that experience now at this point of the year?
I think you learn, like you said, about the body, how to stay healthy. I think is, you can't prevent injuries, but you could do your best to stay on top of, nagging aches and pains. And, the other side of it, I think the more you play October baseball, the more you get used to it. It's kind of hard for either young guys or older guys who have never been to the playoffs. That's probably the most difficult thing, because you just don't know what to expect. You could hear stories, or you could understand that it's going to be a little bit different than obviously the regular season, but until you really get in that environment, you don't enjoy it in such a manner. You kind of, sometimes the game speeds up for people at that moment. But here in this clubhouse, there's plenty of guys who have played in October, so I think that we have the advantage, obviously, with the experience over other ball clubs, once we get there.
Is there any sort of different feeling for you than maybe last year after having won one, or because you're in a new place and, back home? Is it still a similar sort of feeling now that we're as close as we are to October?
Yeah, it's definitely similar. Anytime you clinch a playoff spot is amazing. We did it pretty early, so that's, awesome. We get to rest some guys, we get to play some guys. The closer to the end of the season comes, guys get more excited, a little bit more pep in the step, just because they know that our ultimate goal is not even close to being done. When other guys are going out, hunting, fishing, vacationing, we're, putting in extra work, we're grinding. Obviously, we're playing playoff baseball, so I think that's something that, makes professional athletes tick, knowing that they have a chance to be, I don't know, one of 8 games going on any given day, and then 4, and then 3, and then you're the only baseball game playing. That's what gets, most of the guys on our team going, and, we're all excited, definitely trying to count down those games, because we're hungry for the playoffs.
How hard are these last couple of weeks as you're waiting for that point to kind of get here?
Yeah, it's tough. You just kind of got to stay within your own mindset with, routine. Obviously, the season's almost over, but, near the end of the year, everyone tries to, I'm not saying that we're not locked in, but, people try to step it up a notch, just because, we know the playoffs are right around the corner, and we're going to have to bring, our A game, obviously, to win the World Series.
Really, since June, July, you've taken off here as a Dodger, and I know you've been asked this question before, but, what would you say have been kind of the keys for you to be able to progress the way that you have through the year as it's gone deeper here?
From performance, just being able to throw more strikes, and then the numbers all even out eventually. Not going to feel bad for, myself or for anyone, but, I ran across a lot of weak contact, bad luck, stuff that doesn't show up, that's not on the paper. So eventually that all evens out. It's one of those things that, I'm not worried about. The regular season is long, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. Obviously best, I've been in that situation, so there's no panic on my part. I know that if I'm feeling right, feeling healthy, be more successful than not.
Local guy, obviously. Pretty interesting story about how you started pitching. If you can share that. I know that wasn't initially going to be your position. I guess your coach, while you're wearing Vans and street clothes, said, "Hey, go throw." What was that story? If you can share it for us.
Ultimately, me messing around kind of in the outfield out there at UC Riverside, and always kind of had a good arm is what I thought. And coach saw me throwing the ball and messing around trying to just throw it as far as I can in the outfield, and then asked me if I've ever pitched, and I said, you know what, I threw maybe 7 innings in high school. I just didn't want to pitch. I honestly didn't like it because played so much travel ball growing up, and I pitched every weekend. Arm started hurting when I was young, and I was like, I'm done with this. So got on the mound, messing around in some shorts and street clothes, and threw a ball, and he's like, holy crap, that was pretty good. Give me a second. I was like, all right. He ran in the clubhouse, came back out with like a radar gun. He's like, hey, can you do that again? I was like, sure. It's just throwing the ball as far as I can, at the catcher. Came out and it was like 95. The next day he was like, you're gonna be working out at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and usually the position players worked out at like 7:38. I was like, 9 o'clock is when the pitchers work out. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, you don't have to bring your bat to the field anymore. And I was like, all right, well, this is what it is. This is my only chance of playing as a true freshman. Then went out and became the closer. So it was pretty interesting, pretty fun. I didn't love it at first, but ended up working out. Worked
out okay for your major league career here. Being back home, what's that experience been like? Have you got to see a lot of family, friends? Have you had any off time? What's just the whole sort of experience been like for you back here now?
Yeah, it's been great. Every single one, besides my mom, everyone lives pretty close. So any given day, could see them, have some breakfast, or go over to their houses, hang out before coming to the park. So it's been awesome, and I thought it would be a little bit much sometimes, but it hasn't been overwhelming. It's been fine. See my friends, see my family, play some golf with some high school friends. Kind of do it all. So it's one of those things that truly fortunate where live close enough to where I could still live at home and not have to rent an apartment out here. So that's nice. Have some home cooked meals on Sunday day games. Get to go home and barbecue at my house. So that's always a plus rather than have to go out to eat because I get to hit up the local spots. So that's my favorite.
It's now time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Please welcome back to the field Joe Kelly's son, Knox. Take it away, Knox.
It's for time for Dodger baseball.
You had a pretty memorable moment as a Cardinal in the playoffs against this team with the stare down that everyone likes to talk about with Scott Van Slyke. It's possible that the Dodgers play the Cardinals at some time in the playoffs. If that happens, are you going to have to reenact it as a member of the Dodgers?
Is it possible? Yeah, I guess they're playing pretty well.
It's possible.
Maybe. I mean, that was one of the weirder things I've been a part of. If they make it and they end up playing us, there's always a chance, I would say.
Let's get some rapid fire questions. I know a lot of fans wanted to ask you some of these things here. Choice Fielder wants to know, what was it like in the transition from starting pitcher to relief pitcher?
A lot easier from relief pitcher to starting pitcher, that's for sure. The hardest part was just telling myself that I'm not a starting pitcher anymore. Ultimately, it's the same thing, but with a little bit less of facing the same guy over and over.
Christo, he wants to know, do you miss any food around UC Riverside?
Oof, Substation. Classic, one of the best.
What do you get there? What's the order?
It's tough, one, because we always got the same sandwiches pregame when I played there. Turkey provolone, some oil vinegar. Sometimes I mix it up with a hot sub, but I think that if I had to pick right now, I have to get a meatball, I think. Yeah.
So last time have you been able to go back to UC Riverside?
Yeah, I went out this offseason.
Oh, nice.
Definitely went there too.
Cool.
Yep.
Moving on, kind of a similar food question. Best places to eat in the Inland Empire?
Miguel's Jr. It's one of my favorite. It's a Corona.
Corona, we'll accept it there.
It's an OG restaurant. Now they expanded, but I'd have to say Miguel's Jr. And I love, there's a place on 6th Street in Corona called Eduardo's Mexican food restaurant. That's one of the best. And breakfast, there's a place in Norco called Scramblers. Really good. You got a chance to check it out.
So if you're in the Inland Empire, those are not some bad recommendations there from a guy who would know well there. Joe Kelly, thanks so much for joining us on The Dish. Thank you all for joining us as well. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.